knitters, welcome back to Rena Knits. Memorial Day is just around the corner. You're going to hang out with family, friends, outside in beautiful weather, drinking beverages, hot or cold. So, what's the idea for this knitting project? Cozies, or bottle warmers as they're called as well. They're great for hot drinks because they don't burn your hands, and they're great for cold drinks. They don't freeze your hands. And they're also great ideas for gifts for your friends and family. For this Memorial Day, I thought that we'd make drink cozies, or bottle warmers as it is. So here I have a Coke can, and what we're going to do is create a cozy that goes around it. So if you have a hot drink, it'll make sure your hands don't get too hot, and if you have a cold drink, it'll make sure your hands don't get too cold. So what we're going to do is make a cozy that just fits around the can right here, this length. So if you take a tape measure and measure the length, so if you look here, it's roughly about 4 inches that will cover the Coke can. And this is usually the size of most drinks. So what we're going to do is make a cozy that's about 4 inches long. And we're going to use the colors of the American flag. So we're going to use red, blue, and white. We're going to start off with white. You want to use US size 5 needles, and we're going to cast on 40 stitches. So we're going to use straight needles, and we're going to cast on 40 stitches. Once you've cast on your 40 stitches, you are now going to start off with your rib design. So we have 4 inches to cover. So we're going to do 1.5 of white, 1.5 of red, and the remainder we're going to do blue to make sure we include all of these 3 colors in there. And that way then we have a representation of the US flag. So what we're going to do is a rib design, and we're going to do 2 knits, 2 purls, 2 knits, 2 purls all the way through, and just on the right side, and the reverse side is going to be just the opposite. 2 purls, 2 knits, 2 purls, 2 knits all the way through, and you're going to keep repeating this till you get 1.5 inches of this pattern, and then we're going to introduce the red color. So let's start off with row 1, which is 2 knits and 2 purls. Now for the bottle holder or drink cozy that we're making for Memorial Day. This is the white portion that I've completed to 1.5 inches. So if you take our measuring tape, we measure that it's about 1.5 inches. So what we're now going to do is change colors and do another 1.5 with the red color. And then we'll do 1 inch of blue to finish it off. So how we would add a new color is simply by, what I'm now going to do is cut a bit of this yarn, so about 4 inches. I'm going to cut that off. Then I'm going to take my red yarn and start knitting it through. But I'm going to at the same time weave my white yarn along with it. So I'm going to still leave a little bit here so I can weave it through later. It's a little bit of my red yarn so that I can weave it through later, so it tightens it up. Then I'm going to take my needle and start knitting the red into it. And I'm going to continue following the same pattern of 2 knits, 2 purls. So here I am knitting my red into my yarn now, and I'm going to just take this and bring it out this way so I weave it through without losing my needle. And then again do the same thing, so it's 2 knits and then 2 purls. So here I'm going to just take this and weave it along here and then do my purl. My next purl. And then my net, I'm going to take this and weave it along. And another net, move this along. And then my purl. Then again my net, and take this and bring it there. So you would keep doing this until you feel that enough weaving has happened for it to not get loose. And then what you could do at the end as well, once you've finished your Drink Cozy, is take a crochet hook and weave a little more through the stitches and then cut off a little bit that remains, and that way you'll have it all weaved into your knitted portion so that you don't have to worry about it. And you would do the same thing with this red portion right here. You would just weave it through and then cut off a little bit extra and you should be good. So now the same that we did with the white portion, we're going to continue with the red and just move forward with the 2 knits, 2 purl rib pattern for 1.5 inches. Now here is my Drink Cozy. I have done 1.5 inches of the white, 1.5 inches of the red, and then the 1 inch of the blue. Now you could decrease the length of the white and the red to accommodate a little more blue, or try to make it as even as possible by counting the number of stitches that you're knitting. So either way, you'll at least get the colors of the American flag on it for Memorial Day, and you want to make sure that you have at least 4 inches. So now that we're at 4 inches, what we want to do is bind off, and then we're going to sew it together and complete it. So we're going to bind off, so we're just going to do a complete knit and while binding off. After you've finished binding off, what you're going to do is take about, so I usually do is measure the string from one end to the other twice, Then I cut off a little bit right here, so that way I know I have enough yarn to sew my project together. So now we're gonna take this cut yarn, put it through the loop so that we could complete binding off and closing it without losing any stitches. And then we're going to take our sewing needle and we're going to start sewing this together. Now we always sew from the back side, so none of the sewing portion can be seen from the front, and it seems seamless. And I'm just going to take the blue and sew it all the way across. And you usually want to take the yarn from the stitches to the next stitch, and try to keep it to every stitch or every other stitch so you don't create unnecessary holes. Now at the end, we're just going to finish off, and then we're going to knot this together so that way you don't have to worry about it. And we're going to do just another knot to make sure it's all good. And then I'm just going to cut it off. I'm going to cut any extra yarn that I have as well to make it a little more cleaner. And then we're going to flip this around to the right side. And this is our bottle warmer, or our drink cozy, and we could try it on our drink as well. Yourself a drink cozy that you could use. You got yourself a drink cozy. If you like this video, don't forget to click that like button. And if you're new, welcome. Don't forget to click that subscribe button to get the latest videos on knitting projects, knitting ideas, knitting patterns, and much more. Relax, enjoy, and keep knitting.